Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of the Plant Sumo Podcast. Today I am here with Korin Sutton, who is a 100% plant-based bodybuilder and vegan athlete, who, if you go on his Instagram, has helped so many people achieve higher levels of fitness and health and wellness. So welcome. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. How are you?
Good. Can't complain.
Yeah, I was saying before we officially started, but I can't help but notice all the awards behind you. Clearly, you're really accomplished in your field.
Yeah. 7 years of bodybuilding. I actually have a show coming up in 3 weeks, I believe, on the 24th.
Wow.
Yeah, I have another show coming up, so I'm getting ready for that. It's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, for you, has it always been just sort of like the drive to compete? Or is it more like you want to share your lifestyle with people? Or like what is your core motivation behind competing in the way that you do, would you say?
Well, in the beginning, it was mostly for animal activism. I mean, I figured it's a good way to show that you can be like a pro athlete, build muscle, be lean, have a great physique
Yeah.
as a vegan, so doing bodybuilding really gave me that platform because it's where a lot of people think that you have to consume like tons of animal byproducts and protein
Yeah.
to be able to have those type of physiques. And that's why I did it. So to just prove people wrong that, protein is protein. And as long as you could get it through a plant-based source, I mean, when it comes to building muscles, pretty easy. Excuse me, just have to educate yourself more on the nutrition and stuff like that. And now I kind of cut back on how many shows I used to do in the past. And I do maybe one or two shows a year, but it's still for activism, but I would say it's more recreational, if anything, just because I have a business, I have work I have to do. I'm really busy individual. So it's more for fun, and it's still I could use it for activism and stuff, but when I do, but it's mostly for more recreational now.
Oh, cool. That's really interesting how like through your life it's kind of transitioned into more of a sort of fun thing. Yeah. But what you said then about protein and the misconceptions people have about actually getting it on a plant-based diet, I think is just so true. There are literally so many sources of protein that you can get on a plant-based diet. And I was looking online actually on your website where you discuss your kind of daily dietary plan. And I think for so many people who are into things like bodybuilding or athletics and stuff, like hearing a bit more about how you structure what you eat, I think would be really helpful to them. So
yeah, I personally don't like talking about what I eat just because I'm an athlete, and majority of the world isn't, so when it comes to like my job as a nutritionist and a master fitness trainer, if we want to talk about protein, like great sources of protein could be like tofu, seitan, tempeh, your legumes, tons of vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. Like all this pretty much has a lot of protein in it. It's all about having an abundance of different types of plant-based foods to get the protein that you need. Because the misconception is that when we were all taught nutrition, when we're in like elementary to middle school to high school, even some colleges, the nutrition classes and the health classes that we all took, unless you're a dietitian or a nutritionist like myself, when it comes to the standard American diet, it's like where do you get your protein? It'd be animal byproducts. They won't mention that fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds has protein in it. It'll just be like, if you want a significant source of protein, you have to eat like red meat, turkey, chicken, fish, things like that. But when you really look a little bit deeper into a plant-based diet, you'll see that a lot of things has protein in it. And as long as, like, again, going back to what I said before, if you have an abundance of different types of foods, you'll realize that you really don't need as much protein as recommended. At the same time, you don't have to get it through an animal-based source. And if you kind of think about where the animals that we consume, let's say like chickens, turkeys, cows and pigs, like these animals mostly get their protein from the earth. They get it from a plant-based diet because they're they're pretty much vegetarian. Yeah. So, or vegan, depending on your definition of veganism. But like, they're mostly eating a plant-based diet, so I don't like discussing mine again, just because my intake is high. Like right now I'm doing
very
like
naturally.
yeah, I mean, right now mine doing like 215 grams of protein, but is this recommended for the average individual? No. Is this recommended for the person who just goes to the gym and works out? No, because the protein consumption is really based on each individual's goals, how their body is able to absorb protein, and what they're looking for out of that when it comes to their aesthetic results. So like for me being a bodybuilder, of course I need more protein because I'm consistently tearing my muscle tissues down, looking for hypertrophy, which is the build of muscle, looking for muscle growth. And since I'm in the sport, I train very aggressively versus an average individual. So that's why I don't like talking about, because it's just like, if I just say like what I eat all the time, people try and mimic that. And
that's very true.
Like that's why I try to stay away from is tell people like, look, if you're a runner, you need enough protein so you can run. And maybe your diet possibly need to be more of a high carb diet, because it's more of a high endurance sport. And since runners are looking for more endurance, does it really matter on their aesthetics? Really? No, a true runner athlete is looking for performance so they can win. So they need energy. The aesthetics really doesn't matter that much. You know what I'm saying? So that's, to answer your question, like that's how we do it,
Yeah, that's so true about how fitness, especially athletic performance, like you said, if you are in a very particular sport, you really do have to tailor your diet in a very specific way to what you're doing. And people don't talk about fitness journeys enough as a kind of individualized thing, right? Where obviously some things are going to work better for other people than others, and that's not even necessarily if you're competing in a sport. Sometimes that's just down to what kind of individual you are, right? But I find, especially looking at your website in general, just the passion and commitment you have with what you were saying about animals and the kind of diets and the kind of lives they lead, right? The commitment you have to the activism side of it, I think is something which is very motivating and significant, because on this show, I've already talked to some people who are in the bodybuilding sphere, but they're less, they were more motivated by the kind of health-based reasons more necessarily than the kind of, the activist motivations. And something I find really interesting about you, right, is I've spoken to a lot of people and they're like, oh, these moral reasons, these ethical reasons, that's why I did it. But they can't pinpoint the exact moment they were like, okay, I want to make a change to my diet and my lifestyle, right? But you actually have said that you listened to a speech, I believe, by Gary Yourofsky. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, back in 2011. But I don't know who that is. And I'm just curious, what about that kind of changed your mind?
Well, Gary Yourofsky is a huge activist. And if no one knows him, definitely recommend watching his speech. Even if you're vegan and you're listening to this, highly recommend watching it, because it would definitely reassure why you went vegan. And especially if you're doing it for health reasons, I would highly recommend it to watch it again, because it will bring that ethical side to it. And with me, like when he talked about it, I saw him live in my classroom. I was in college, and when he did the speech, it was just, it hit I never really looked at animals in the way that he did, and especially how he explained it when it came to like the suffering, the pain, all the killings that they go through, the abuse, how we exploit them to the max, just to get food on our table, or just for purely for entertainment. So when he went in that speech, it definitely painted a more real picture, because a lot of things that I didn't know or really didn't think about, I knew that, like, well, if this is what's happening, for example, like, I used to go to zoos, before I was vegan, I used to go to zoos. And I didn't know that, the animals were heavily abused to be able to tame them, to tame them, to make them do tricks, or swimming on the water while you surf on their back or something like that, like a dolphin or a killer whale,
Yeah.
or all these things, man. I just didn't think about it. And it's hard for you to think about that, because when you see how the zoos are laid out, I mean, they're laid out for pure entertainment. You want to jump on rides, you want to take pictures of the animals. Some places have like a secondary motive to, cover up what you see. So, sometimes they'll say like, oh, we help these animals, we rescue them and things like that. And they weren't really rescued. It was just like they were captured from the wild, and, so, I mean, companies can lie, they'll lie because they don't think like people are actually going to go that in depth to see if they're doing things right or wrong. As long as you go to the facilities and they look fine, that's all that matters. And sometimes even when you go to the zoos, you'll see like animals like just sitting there bored out of their mind, and you think like, oh, they're just resting or they're just sleeping, but they're just bored. It's like, if I put you in a cage, like I mean, not even that, I'm not even going to say put you in a cage. People were complaining just from the COVID lockdown.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good point.
Let's use that for an example. That's a better example. People were complaining about just being locked in their own house, and they're complaining about just wearing a mask. So a little paper mask on their face. So imagine what an animal's going through when they're just sitting in their room. Okay. If you came and stay in 1 week in your own house, and you're all going crazy and stuff, right? People are getting divorces and breaking up in couples. Domestic violence went up high since the whole COVID situation. All these issues are going on. Why? Because people can't stand each other, and people can't stand being in the same place for a long time. So if people came and do it, why the hell you think a bear can do that? Where bears, they're known for traveling. They're nomads. They're known for traveling like far distances and scavenging the lands and all this stuff. So, if you can't do it, why you think a bear could do it, or a panda, or any other animal that's captured in a zoo in like a little room or a fish tank or something like that? Like they're crazy. They go crazy. They get bored. They don't want to be there. And sometimes these animals are drugged too, because they might be very aggressive animals, and they drug them. So they're always like drowsy and sleepy. So it looks like they're just calm. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, when you go real deep into it, and the more you learn, then you realize that it's not fair, and people are just exploiting these animals for money.
Yeah, exactly. And what you really zeroed in on there, which I think is a really good point, is how we treat animals with such an attitude of entitlement, right? Like you were saying, obviously, animals are free roaming creatures, and they need to be in open spaces. They need to be in their own natural habitat, ideally. And just the idea that we can just, take them and use them, not even just for food, for all kinds of resources. I'm thinking about things like fashion, like clothing, that uses fur, like leather boots and stuff like that as well. Even like animal testing in the beauty industry. It's such a massive global issue that just the scale of dealing with something like that is insane and crazy. And I think what you said about zoos and the whole, using them for entertainment thing, that's got me thinking about times I've been to the zoo myself in the past, and you literally just see animals just sitting there doing nothing, looking completely disassociating from their environment. And yes, it's incredibly sad. I just think as well what you were saying about like the thing is with a plant-based diet, right, is you can think about it in terms of labels as being vegan and stuff like that. Because I was talking with I don't know if you know Torre Washington. He's also a bodybuilder. I've also had him on here, and we were talking about like living ethically and not using these sorts of labels, right, in regards to like being plant-based, like not calling yourself vegan, but thinking about it in terms of limiting the harm you're having on animals and on the general sort of environment, right? And I think the attitude of humanism is something that's incredibly powerful and inclusive, and something we all should promote, especially when it comes to animals. like you were talking about with that whole situation. So I wonder how do you feel about that? Like the whole sort of labeling of veganism. Do you think it's productive or?
To me, I'm proud to be a vegan, you know, and the thing is, I'll use the label all day because I know what it means. You know what I'm saying? So when people try to disassociate themselves from labels and stuff, I understand that type of ideology. But the thing is that I came from a place that labels meant something, you know, because it's like, for example, I was in the military for 8 years, right? So if someone came around and said, well, I'm a soldier too, or I'm a Marine too, because I know how to shoot a gun. Yeah. You're not a Marine. You're not a Marine. Like, you're not a Marine. Like, I'm going to be so serious. I don't give a damn about labels. I'm going to be like, you're not a Marine. Because I've been to boot camp. I served my country. I went to Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 and 4. I've been there and I've done that. So for you to try to take the title, you know, or a label, was 100% wrong unless you went to boot camp and you did the same shit that I did. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to veganism, when people use that term, I use the same ideology that I use being in the military because I know what it takes to earn that label. And in Marine Corps, they make you earn the right to be a Marine. Even when you join boot camp, you're not a Marine. They call you a shitbag. That's what they call you, a shitbag civilian. That's what they call you. Oh my God. Yeah, it's funny because it's true. Because when you're a civilian, you don't know shit, right? So the thing is that, you know, you don't know anything what's going on in the world until you really join the military. You start realizing like the world's a lot bigger than when you think, and there's a lot of shit going on, right? You know, it's a lot of things are going on within our bubble. Yeah, a lot. So it's like when you go through each week, when you go through it, what they do, for example, is like they give you the uniform, you know, but they don't give you your name tag. They don't give you can't even wear the emblem, like they call it the Eagle Globe and Anchor, right? That's their logo, right? You can't even wear the logo. Oh my God. Because you ain't shit. And you can't even wear the boots. They make you wear sneakers, right? You look all stupid when you seriously you look all dumb. Like, you know, you look crazy dumb because it's like nothing matches, nothing looks good because they're like, you don't earn the right to wear anything about a Marine until we say you earn that title, you know? After 3 months, you know, or, you know, what is it, 4, 8, 12, 12, 6, 4, 12, like 14 weeks of training, and you pass all the crap, right? Then they give you the Eagle Globe Anchor, like pin, then they stitch your name, you know, all that stuff. And then you can wear the boots, and now you look like a Marine, right? Yeah. So, and I mean, I remember when someone gave me that Eagle Globe Anchor, I cried. Just so because when they said now you're a Marine, I cried because I knew what it took.
Yeah, because you'd earned it. Yeah.
The sacrifice I did. You know. So when it comes to labels, it means something to me. But if someone's going around saying that, oh, well, I'm vegan, I even tell clients coming up like, well, I eat eggs a little bit, but I'm vegan. I was like, so you're transitioning. They're like, well, no, I'm a little vegan. No, so you're transitioning or you're a vegetarian. Vegan doesn't have any type of animal byproducts. Yeah. You know? So it's like when you take the term veganism, it's like I look at it like you really took it as the label. You take it because it means something. You're doing something to protect others. So to stand up and be proud is good. But if you want to step back and say, oh, I don't like labels, this and that, well, you know, maybe you need to recheck your reassurance of who you about. Because if there's no labels, why you have a name?
I see the logic.
Let's talk stupid, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I see the logic in that. Yeah.
So why have a name then? Why call yourself Tory Washington? Right? Why call yourself Bodybuilder? Right? These are all labels. So everything in the world is labeled. So it's hard to disassociate yourself and be like, well, I'm me. I'm just a human being, a spirit that a multi-dimensional being, you know, like, you know, you could get all hippie about it, but like we use labels to describe who you are, to represent what you're about.
Yeah.
So if you're someone that's afraid using the word veganism, then don't use it. That's fine. No one's going to give a damn. But like, I care, because I know when people use it, especially activists and stuff like that, and that's why they're so aggressive. That's why they're mad.
Yeah.
That's why I'm mad. Because when you see the world doing something that's so violently, of course I'm going to use the term to try to differentiate myself from other people, because I'm not them. I don't eat animals. I don't buy animal stuff. I'm a vegan.
I find
It's like,
I find your whole perspective really interesting, actually, because a lot of the time we get this whole stereotype of, like, you know, the angry vegan or whatever, and people use that so often to dismiss vegan arguments about issues. But actually, you know, there's a entirely justified reason for the anger. And I think what you were saying as well about how your time spent in military service has kind of shaped your attitude towards, like, these labels. And, you know, if you are something, you have to earn it almost, you know, you have to be committed to it. You can't just kind of, like, you know, go in and out of it all the time. In your eyes, in your perspective, that's how you'd like to live for your life. And I was just thinking as well, your whole attitude to animals, right? Being in the military, do you feel like the kind of appreciation for life, right? It must have been something that that kind of grew in your eyes through that experience. Is naturally you're putting it all in the line.
Well, to answer that question, that's why I got out. Because being in the military, I was part of a combat unit. So the attitude and the lifestyle is all about death. And you have to be cold as ice to shoot someone in the face without even thinking twice. Yeah, that's it. Because our mission is this: protect the foreign and domestic, to protect the foreign domestic. So if you're a threat, you're dead. That's it. You can't think twice, because when you're in war, right? It's you or them.
Yeah, very
That's it.
Harsh environment. Yeah.
So like with me, you know, like I had to get out of that type of environment, because it's not like, how can I be in that type of system and then say I'm vegan and I'm all compassionate and shit? It's very conflicting, you know. So that's why I left. It's one of the reasons why I left. Yeah, because it was very conflicting. When I was in the military, I was in it. Like, I was in it. Just as I'm in veganism, and, you know, I do everything that I can to help animals and, you know, talk about it and help others. Yeah. It's as serious I was in the military. You know, like it wasn't like I sucked. I was really good. Real. And when I say good, like really good. Like, I know how to shoot and I know how to kill. I was really good. But it wasn't something that I wanted to enjoy doing, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was just like, I had to separate that and stop that. And it took a lot of, it wasn't just like I decided to go vegan. It's like, I had to change my whole identity, because it was just like, you know, I'm coming from a place where we run around in circles singing about how we want to kill people, to like loving animals. I mean, it took a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a shift, isn't it?
Yeah. It took a lot of reconditioning. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I went to like just to give you an example, I went to the Buddhist temple like twice a week for a whole year. Yeah. Just to refine myself, you know, when it comes to compassion and peace and love. And I did that because it was the only way or only outlet that I figured out that really helped me to understand more about life, you know? So that's why I did what I did, you know? So, you know, like I said, like, it took a lot, but, you know, I'm here where I am now and things are good. But yeah, before, it was really bad, you know? Yeah.
I mean, that's such a radical change, and you can definitely tell how you've, you know, channeled elements of, you know, the sort of training and mindset you have to have by definition in the military into how you approach like your fitness and how you approach all of your training and everything like that. But onto less heavy topics. I'm curious. Obviously, we've spoken a little bit about your diet and things that you like to eat And as you know, we're a brand that specializes in vegan like meal like boxes, which are like pre-prepped, and then you can eat them on your own schedule wherever you want. Do you have like a favorite food or meal that you like to eat?
I mean, my favorite meal is probably like tofu scramble, you know, and the reason I like it is just because first it just has a lot of protein in it, you know, that's number one, but also it's like one of those dishes where you can mix it with anything, you
Yeah.
know. So when I make the scramble, like I'm able to include so much vegetables and fruits like bell peppers, kale, spinach, garlic, onions, tomatoes,
Mm.
able to include so many different types of foods all in one dish, and it tastes great. And I think that's why it's my favorite. When it comes to other foods, it's more almost a little generalized, you know. It's just like, you know, you have your protein, carbs, and fat, and you know, if even with the Gardein and some of the mock meats, it's more generalized. So if I wanted a burger, it's just a burger, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Or if I wanted like you know, chicken with vegetables, you know, I can get like the Gardein chicken fillets and make some vegetables. It's just like it's a simple staple versus like a scramble. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm getting so many various vitamins and minerals and macronutrients too. So I think that's one of the reasons it's just so versatile, and I get a
Yeah.
lot of nutrients from it as well. And it
As
tastes
well, like yeah, as well with a scramble, it's pretty quick, right? It's quite an efficient thing to
good.
make. I know it's popular along like quite a lot of like vegan Instagrammers and stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
think, you know, like so many people worry with cooking and with food, even if they're not living a plant-based lifestyle, about the whole prep, you know, getting everything ready and stuff like that. I'm sure you tend to prep a lot of your food and meals in advance?
Tell you the truth, I used to like a couple of years ago, but now like I don't. You
Yeah.
know, really I don't. It's rare if I meal prep, just because like I've mastered counting macros. Like meal prepping is part of counting macros, which macros is like your protein, carbs, and fat. These are large nutrients
Yeah.
that's vital for the body to function. Once you master it and you learn about nutrients or nutritional science of foods,
Mm.
it's pretty simple to include foods into your diet and eat whatever you want, rather than meal prepping. Now, is meal prepping more optimal when it comes to following a diet? Yes. Like I make all my students meal prep because I know when it comes to the discipline, you know, they're not like they're if their meals are already prepped together, it's more convenient
Yeah.
because these for those individuals, like they're not in it like I am. Like fitness is my job, so obviously, like, you know, me being in shape and eating well and stuff kind of plays part of being what I am, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus someone who's like, if they're a lawyer or something, you know, they're not going to be as serious or very, yeah, they're not going to be as serious, you know, trying to get foods in unless like unless their physical attributes or their aesthetics means a lot to them, you
Yeah.
know. So if they're with me, then I have them meal prep. But then I have students who's been with me for a long time and it's part of their lifestyle. Like, and that's what I try to do is incorporate it to make it part of their lifestyle. Now, once they get to that level, because a lifestyle change takes a long time, just
Mm.
has me going to veganism and doing what I do, it took a while. It wasn't just a significant shift, right? It took a while. It took a while reprogramming my brain, my lifestyle, everything that I do. So the same thing with those individuals. If they want to just count macros and stuff, then they don't have to meal prep, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So like they can, as long as they're counting their macros. So that's how it kind of rolls with my business and how I regulate things.
Oh yeah, cool. I mean, obviously there's so much in terms of the nutritional science that needs to be taken into account when you're becoming a
Mhm.
vegan, or even if you're just fitness training. Sorry
Yeah.
if I'm interrupting you first and in the back, like.
Nah.
No, no. But I'm quite curious because obviously on your Instagram you show a lot of pics and testimonials from people who have worked and trained with you, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
hmm
actually the process of training with people, what would you say is the most challenging thing about getting people to the kind of results that they actually want to see?
Consistency would be the most challenging part. And because that all depends on each individual again. Some people, like when it comes to the seriousness and the motivation of each individual, this really depends if someone's going to, get to their results or not, right? And it kind of goes back onto what I was saying before, like, is it part of their lifestyle or it isn't? I'm a type of trainer that I don't just give you plans and just hope you follow it to get results. I try to educate you around fitness and health. So when you understand the importance of it, then you take it a little bit more seriously. So do I have people who, drop out of the program and they fail to hitting their goals? Of course, I can't force these people to follow a program. I can't force them to come to a class. I can't force them to come to their check-in calls. I can't force them to take pictures of themselves and put in their body weight and their measurements and stuff like that. I can't force them, So the person definitely has to have the will to be able to get to their results. They have to be able to motivate themselves first before they can have someone else motivate them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So like, but like, as you can see, like I have tons of, or even hundreds of testimonials. So obviously people are, my system works, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and say like, yeah, it's perfect. It's like, because at the end I can't force them, But only thing I could do is just educate, talk about it, and they just have that small initiative and will to just show up. And that's all they need to do is show up, not just pay. Because I got a lot of people who just want to pay after a call with me. But at the end of the payment, it's not like buying a computer or an iPhone. It's like you have to show up.
Exactly.
And that's it. And now once they show up, then everything else comes together. And the testimonies you see, those are the people that show up. And I tell every single person, like, if you want real results, you want sustainable results, and make it a lifestyle, because that's the only way you're going to have sustainable results. Because that's the problem with the fitness industry. Everyone's fast to give you a program, some type of cookie cutter bullshit, right? Super cheap. Everyone's looking for a cheap price. Like $50 for an 8-week program or some bullshit, right? But no one's looking to change their life to make it so they can have sustainable results. That's why even people who buy these cheap programs, a couple of weeks later after they've done it, they'll get to their goals, but after they're fat again. And then now they're looking for another coach, or individuals bouncing from different coaches because they keep failing the program because no one's really educating people, and trying to make it into a lifestyle. So that's what I do, is I educate. Like, I have tons of classes every single week. I have other coaches on board, so it's not just coming out of my damn mouth. It's coming out of other coaches' mouths who's professionals, who looks at my vision as strong and clearly as I do, So, and I have a women trainer and another male, So, and to even make it more diverse, and they're different cultures, so it's like, so like, I'm trying everything. Like, I'm like, yo, like, if it ain't come from me, a black dude, who's fit, I have a white guy, I have a white chick, like something so people can relate. Instead, diversity, because diversity is part of business, it's part of it, because people are going to relate and stick to different types of people. But the message is the same. See what I'm saying? And that's the thing. My company is like, the message is the same. It doesn't matter who it's coming from. The message is still the same. So we try our best to get people on board and do it right.
And I think what you were saying about your goal to educate people, you've definitely educated everyone on here. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about your story and what you do, and just about the important issues, especially regarding animal activism, which, face veganism at the moment. So thank you so much. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for watching another episode of the Plant Sumo Podcast. I'm Rachel. This is Korin Sutton. Go check out his Instagram and his website. Thanks, guys, and bye.